back. WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're positively doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour. We're at Fadley's at the world-famous Lexington Market. I love where you position me here, Damye, because I can look out and see since 1782. So I know how long it's been here, since 1919, Cole Roofing. Bill Cole is here. It's all brought to you by our friends at Maryland Lottery. Bill has number 18 here. He hasn't scratched it yet, but Marty Gary's going to get one. He's going to talk fish here later on. And I've got lottery tickets to give away all summer long. We're going to be at Coco's in 2 weeks. We're going to be at Shannon's in Halethorpe soon. We are going to be at Costas on the 3rd, celebrating 25 years, in Drug City on the 4th, celebrating 25 years in just a month. 4th of July weekend, fishing, the Bay, Lexington Market, the city, and crab cakes. Bill Cole, of course, sponsors all of our community stuff here. So you hadn't ever had the Fadley's crab cake.
Baltimore City Public Schools trash truck drive by.
Okay.
Why does Baltimore City Public Schools have a trash truck?
Separately than the other trash trucks?
Yeah.
Have no
idea. Does that make sense to anyone? I'm going to investigate that.
This is why I have Cole on the show. He takes over. He's looking out the window at Baker Street.
I'm looking at it. I see
and
then it's like, what kind of truck is that? Oh, it's a trash truck. Okay.
I'm trying to promote her crab cake, and you're talking about trash truck.
Here's the observation I just made.
All right.
So I never really order crab cakes when I go anywhere. This is not a thing.
That's what I was telling you in the last segment. I'm in New York. Why would I? Like, I was thinking you were saying, we'll ship all the meat up to New York. I'm thinking, I wouldn't know what's in a crab cake in New York because I would never order it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, they're not shipping that much up there now.
Okay.
So,
but I'm not even necessarily referring to, like, I definitely wouldn't do it out of Maryland.
Right.
But even in Maryland, it's just, like, if I'm picking, that was never really my pick.
You'll take a steak. You'll take a pork chop.
Sure.
You'll take
pork chops. I love a good pork chop. But my assumption is that if somewhere earlier in my life I would have experienced this crab cake, I would continue to search for that, and I would order it all the time, thinking that it's going to be as wonderful as this was. I'd be disappointed every time, but that experience. So you have one earlier in your life, and you're not all that excited about it. Goes down the list.
Like an oyster.
I'll take a good pork chop every day, And now I'm like, now I understand.
Even ChatGPT said if you have one place to get a crab cake, it would be Fadley's.
Did it? Does it really?
Yes.
That is awesome.
So we have more organic material out there.
That is so good. My son is currently doing a research project around AI's interpretation of economic models. So I guess the theory is like if ChatGPT is going to give you advice somehow related to the economy, what's the backstory that its data is built on?
Right.
So he's going to love when I tell him that it's picking the crab cake location, and that's just such life-changing stuff.
I got to have ChatGPT say, if you're going to listen to one radio show in Baltimore, it's got to be mine, right?
right. Well, see, and apparently, though, the AI model doesn't use advertising. So it's got to be organic material. It's got to be people saying
articles
or how many articles are written or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
It can't be how many ads you bought.
Well, listen, I don't think I told you this. I told him this, and it was before we were on the air. I lived downtown for 19 years, and I probably was in here 3 times a year eating your crab cake because 3 times a year her father would come to town, and not that I wouldn't take them out to the suburbs to a place or whatever, but living downtown, they want to walk somewhere, they want to go to a game, whatever. You were the only place I would take, literally the only place, and I'd say, we're going to walk through an old market, you're going to see fried chicken, we're going to get a crab cake, that's why we're taking you. And we would always walk through the front and come up through the market. I didn't even know this door was here until 5 years ago, honestly. I'm not from the west side. Why would I enter from the west side? I'm from the east side. So,
because that's where the parking lot is.
But I ate your crab cakes all these years, and I never really put... is it fried? Is it broiled? What makes it so good? What's in it? What's the slurry? Until, 5-6 years ago, I started doing the show here every month, and then the economy went boom, and Trump, and the city, and the and like all that, and I'm like, the crab cake tour, the interesting part of it is you can explore everywhere. Nobody's going to do it your way, because your way is like your way. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, literally. You got pissed at somebody because they had a Fadley's name on their crab cake, didn't they?
Oh, they did it in a restaurant. We went to a restaurant in
She's never told this story in the air. Listen to this. This is an amazing story, dude.
We went to a very nice white tablecloth restaurant in Charleston, just outside of Charleston on Kiowa Island. And we sit down. There's 8 of us. We sit down, open the menu, and it says, Fadley's famous jumbo lump crab cakes. That was their at the top of their printed menu.
Were they ordering them and you shipping them to
No.
them? Right. So it's homage, right?
Right.
Except that
How did it taste?
you're
Did you
still
order it?
here doing it.
Exactly.
What did
And
it
we
taste
do
like?
ship.
And
They could have bought them from me,
Was it
but
even
they
you
didn't.
could have done a deal.
Was
So-
it a decent crab cake, or was it
It
just
was
awful?
a decent crab cake, but it wasn't ours. And apparently the chef had come up here, fell in love with ours,
Right.
and then wanted to
Borrow
mimic it.
Right.
But as I told the manager, it was funny because a friend of mine had a Fadley shirt on, and we were sitting there, and he said to the waiters, the waiter came over, he says, I think we might have a little problem. And the waiter looks down, looks at the shirt, and goes, uh-oh, I'll get the manager. So I did. I said, I'm very flattered. On one hand, I'm very flattered. But we do have some trademark issues here. You can't just use our name and not have our product. So they did take it off the next day. But it was interesting that somebody was actually trying to get away with that.
And they didn't do the deal just to keep it.
No.
And get them shipped.
No. They put Maryland style on there, I think.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is where I want to bring you in, because Marty Gary's going to be here. I don't even know his title. He's the fish guy around here, the seafood guy, out on the waters. And you have talked so much about True Blue and Maryland crab, and you sent me all over the state 2 summers ago doing a crab cake tour, and there were places that had True Blue in the window, and there were places that didn't. There are places that sell famous crab cakes here in this area, in this region. When the minute I taste the meat, not only is it not Maryland, it's not even the same species of crab, right?
Correct.
And we
Correct.
talked about this, that some places can serve a softball crab cake for $16.95 and have these big things of lump, but that's
Wait,
not.
that stuff they call crab stick? You're telling me
No,
that's
no,
not?
no.
You're telling me that's not Maryland
no.
crab?
There
Come on.
There is a, I've even heard some people using fish, but most of it is either from the west coast of Mexico and all the way over to Asia, Indonesia. Like Phillips has a
Sure.
packing plant in Indonesia. It is a blue swimmer crab. It is not a blue crab. So they're 2 different species.
And they taste different.
Yes. And they're an ocean crab. It gets bigger. Our crabs never get that big. Not anymore. We're between everything that's eating them in the Chesapeake Bay and us eating them. They never get that large. So we're not getting any colossal lumps.
This is
There's
what I
nothing
learned a couple
colossal
years ago, Bill.
Right.
That blew
coming
my
out of
mind. That we
out
don't,
of,
in
Maryland.
any way, there would be no way in the world that Maryland and our bay and our tributaries could possibly
Possibly
produce
feed
enough
everybody. No.
crabs
Sure.
that you could have a Maryland crab cake in other places. And you are very specific in your and when you get a crab cake here in December when it's out of season,
Yep.
which a billion people do.
Yep.
Bruce Zimmerman is like a nephew to her, pitcher for the Orioles. I came in here with a mask on 2 years ago. He's at that table stuffing boxes.
Right.
He's helping
pitching
us
for the
pack
Orioles.
boxes.
Right, sure.
And he's helping them pack boxes because they do so much shipping. The whole pasteurization I've learned so much about this, but just growing up and throwing a chicken neck off the pier
Right.
over in Back River or over in in Dundalk on the Bear Creek, which I did when I was a kid, or little cages to catch crabs.
Yep.
We just grew up with it, and we think it's so special to us.
It is so special.
and it needs to be hugged specially to us.
Yes, and we only have this short 6-month season, if that. It's determined by the Department of Natural Resources each year. When we can take the first crab out, when the first crab, the last crab can be pulled, and it's highly regulated, and for good reason, but it makes it that much more special. Because we can't get it 365 days a year. That's why I told you there's pasteurization, there's blast freezing, there's other ways that we collect up crab through the fall to make sure that we can put some in each one, and then the rest is from the Gulf and even the tip of Venezuela, which is the same species.
I'm
as ours.
Venezuelan, so when I see Venezuelan meat, I know enough to know That's
it's
the
the same
crab.
species.
It's
Yes.
the same crab.
So
Now,
but-
it won't taste the same because of the salination
Yes.
of our water. The brackish
Sure.
waters that we
Gotcha.
have
And we
here,
have, if you look at
that's
our
why
can
our
of crab
crabs
meat,
are sweeter.
Yeah, and you look at our can of crab meat and you look at a Venezuelan can. The Venezuelan can is completely white and washed, and our can is full of fat and eggs and everything else. You got the orange and the yellow and the green running through it, and that's what gives it all the flavor.
Especially the orange.
And it's better. I know, I love the orange.
Yeah, the orange is where you get it.
my impression is that like no one pretty much knows anything that we just talked about. Like
A
they
lot of people
don't
do not.
understand.
That's why I do this.
Right.
And-
okay,
and-
but my real question from the business standpoint is do they care?
They do when they taste it. It's amazing. My mom, it's her favorite thing to sit in here, and we get probably 70% of our business is tourism
Okay.
because, again, they get on the internet.
Right.
They see, okay, this is authentic Baltimore. We're coming here. We will get people from Russia, and then you got people sitting next to them from England, and then you got people from all over the country. They're bringing their families, and they're driving up and down the coast, and they literally come off of 95, come in here, have
Bill,
a crab cake.
I've rarely been in here, and I'm honest to God, I usually leave here at lunchtime, 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock to get out of your way, wrapping up. I have rarely been in here when I haven't seen somebody bring a roller bag in here.
Yes,
Right.
their
Like,
suitcase.
on
They
their
come
way
with
to
their
the
airport,
suitcase.
yeah.
On
Yes.
their way to or
Yeah.
from.
Right,
Yes.
sure.
Literally. Yes.
And so they do. They just Uber from the airport, which is another reason why I chose Catonsville, because it's so close to the airport.
Sure.
And the tourism is so important to our business. But they will come in here and they will have one of these, and they just go, "Oh my God,
Right.
this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed
Every
to taste
time.
like." Yeah. And
One thing about you, man, these are consistent crab cakes.
that's another thing.
I-
know, Nancy's for consistency. You have to keep it the same. You have to keep it the
I've
same.
never
every
had a
time.
crab cake in here that didn't taste exactly the same as the last time I was in here. Even the way you cook it, I try to get you to cook it a little more because I like a little crispier.
And we
But-
say no.
Yeah.
We tell them
Right.
no. Sorry.
So do you in the idea of competitors, there's all these other places that make crab cakes, so people are buying crab cakes there instead of here. What is I guess a bigger limiting factor for you? Other people selling crab cakes, or the fact that crab cakes are a premium item and only so many people can afford to eat crab cakes?
You know, it never bothers us that other people are selling crab cakes. Everybody's going to, have their own flair and do what they do. And nobody can feed everybody. You
Right.
know, McDonald's can't give everybody a burger.
Right.
But I don't think when people come in here, they will, especially because a lot of it is tourists.
Sure.
They will splurge.
Right.
The locals have to, the locals will come in here. And we've got people that'll come in here once a week. We've got people who come in here once a month.
Right.
And they will splurge for it because they know the difference. They
Sure.
know when they taste it. And they know what they're getting. They know the quality.
And you'd have a really hard time replicating this at home because the slurry's just. I know it's got some kind of mustard in it, but that's all I know.
But you can buy that. Yeah, I can sell you we sell them $6.95 a half pint. for my sauce.
I'll come get yours.
Yeah.
People. That's the thing about me. I haven't made a crab cake at home since this tour started.
Yeah.
I literally, I have
You
not.
don't have to.
I was given 1 pound of crab meat by Chad the Crab Man down at Al's in Essex at the end of the crab cake, the end of the crab cake tour 2 years ago, and we took it. He had a television gig, so he had a whole couple pounds of meat. I dumped it in crab soup. It's the only crab meat I've had. Oh, my wife made a thing that was it was the best vat of crab soup ever. I had her put the kitchen sink in it. There was cabbage in there. There was bacon in there. There was okra in there. There was peas in there. There were green beans in there. There was white corn
It's
in
not
there.
crab soup.
Woo!
What he just described is not crab soup. Just want to clarify.
It's
No.
some,
It
some
sound-
sort of crab soup.
Sounds
was
wonderful.
Sounds delicious.
Sounds delicious, but it is not
It's
crab soup.
Venezuelan,
Just so you know.
Maryland crab
Like
soup.
There you go.
I think the differentiator is the bacon.
Yeah, right.
If you put
Well,
bacon in your crab soup, it's no longer crab soup.
On the Eastern Shore,
Sorry.
they would use the Smithfield ham, the salty ham.
You
Oh,
have
salty
to-
ham's
it
okay.
has
Salty
to
ham and the
have-
little chunks of salty
It
ham.
has to have a bacon.
A ham hock or
It
something
has
like
to have a
that.
smoke thing to it that no smoke. Trust me.
Down on the Eastern Shore, the salty ham was a big thing.
I'm going to tell you what my mother put
You-
bacon
you-
in.
you-
So let me
you
tell you what my
saute the
mother would
onions
tell
with
you,
it.
Bill Cole. You don't know what's good.
No, this
That's
is
what
not
mom
a.
would say.
Well, hold on. This is not a determination about good versus not good. It's about
The more you talk, the more crab cake I get.
trueness, right? Legitimate.
right,
That's the
Yeah.
debate I'm having, and I'm not I don't really, I can't comment on that.
If it tastes
I don't
good, it
really
is
know.
good.
So
And here's the other thing he learned: room temperature is good. You get more flavor.
So her mom gave me a whole lecture
okay,
about
not
this
too
city
hot.
here.
Not overheating.
So this is the leftover remnants of what's left. And you'd say, well, we made this crab cake 30, 40 minutes ago. It's room temperature. Let me heat it up for you. No. It tastes better when it's cold. Not cold, room temperature.
You actually taste the
You
crab.
taste it.
Okay.
It's like drinking a stout or a red wine. You wouldn't want the red wine chilled because the flavor would be different.
Right. And it's the
Same
same
thing
thing
with
with
this.
the crab cake.
Although I do love them fried. You know this about me. You got any more questions for Damye? Because I love when you host the show because you think of things to ask I don't think of. And then I learn stuff.
After I got him, I do want to say one thing. After I got you to try the oysters, now you're going to do an oyster tour, aren't you?
You have been inspired.
Yes,
You
I
asked
want
her
him to
about
do
the
an oyster
competitive
tour.
thing.
he admitted he's going to do that.
Listen,
He
you
did.
asked her about the competitive thing, and I got to stay in business too, and I do business with Costas, Pappas, places around town. It's fine. I move around. She's the one that inspired all of this because people would ask me all the time, what's your favorite crab cake or the best crab cake? And she knows this. You go to the east side of town, there's going to be a whole lot more Old Bay in that crab cake. It's just going to be it's going to be saltier. It leans more toward my parents making claw meat, fried, like little hockey pucks.
Yeah.
I had Rick Vaughn on the show last week. And one of my favorite crab cakes is the one that tastes like my mother's, which was the press box at Memorial Stadium. They had a fryer, and they fried them, and they were like little hot. The same crab cakes you got at the Leaning Tower Pizza behind home plate with the little fried crab cakes in mustard packets, right? Delicious. Not this,
Right.
but delicious.
Right.
There's a place in Annapolis. It's a pub, Davis's Pub, and they serve that crab cake. That's not this. It's totally different. It'd be like saying I want a teriyaki steak or I want a garlic pepper. It's the same thing, but it's not the same. And because of her and this, and people asking me and saying, which one's your favorite? I'm like, go eat them all.
Right.
So that's kind of, to me, as the crab cake tour, I'm like, I'm eating them all. And my dude at Spirits West, now, look, it's not like Fadley's or whatever, but, don't be hard on me. And I'm like, I'm not grading your crab cake. It's delicious.
Right.
Right.
It's your family recipe.
Right.
You know who screwed all this up? Zimmerman's the one that really he and I had a fight on YouTube. Gary Vaynerchuk was witness to this. Zimmerman and I got taught my crab cakes. No, it was actually Santonio Holmes, worse than Vaynerchuk, a Steeler. Santonio Holmes was in this conversation, and I said to Zimmerman, I'm from Maryland. This is before I did the crab cake tour, and I think he plugged you. I think he might have plugged Costas too. I lost my hat. He plugged some places in town, but he's like, there's only one way to make a crab cake. Only one way. Nah, and that's crab cake. And I'm like, dude, stop. You're acting like a guy on TV that's never been to Maryland. It's a billion ways. It's like you pissing on my crab soup. What's wrong with you? Come on, it's delicious.
I know. You're just not listening.
It's just not traditional.
I use
Right.
fire roasted
well, the
tomatoes in
question
my
is the
crab
traditional.
soup. If I
What
use
is
fire
traditional?
roasted tomatoes in my crab soup, is that too Gucci for you?
Yes, that does. Like, it's
No, it
fine.
makes it taste
no,
good.
no. Remember what we started with. Remember where we started. We started from this humble
The
beginning,
classic.
right? This humble beginning of using the resources that were available to us to make something out of something that we might not have even used otherwise.
Listen, this is you like saying that my mother making the fried crab cake with the crappy crab meat is the only way I should eat crab cakes the rest of my life.
Don't be dissing the claw meat. I love the claw meat.
Me too.
I love sweet claw
Again,
meat.
that's legitimate, right? That's your universe. That's the way you did it. That's the way she did it. That's
you could make
wonderful.
$1 billion.
That's wonderful.
At your Catonsville location, if you offer the poor man the Dundalk crab cake, and you take claw meat, and you
if
fancy
I can
it
find
all up,
somebody to pick the claws. That's our problem right now. We can't get Maryland claw meat. Nobody's picking claws.
We're gonna
Well,
talk about that all day.
it would be interesting if there were like 3 different crab cake options.
Right.
Yes, which is what
Right.
we used to have here. We used to have a claw,
Like the
a
original,
regular, and then
right?
the big one.
And then the deep fried hockey puck, and
I love them
So
all.
we have two different
and then
styles.
the bougie
I'll tell you the crab cakes
broiled.
that I don't like.
We'll use all the fancy stuff in this
I
one.
know the difference when it's foreign meat. When it's not not foreign. Foreign's the wrong word. When it's a foreign creature. When it's not a blue crab.
Correct.
I taste the difference immediately.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to be gross.
That's because you've had enough.
I don't want to be gross.
You
but
know what
like
else we do?
The after effects of that in the hours and the day after that, it's a completely different experience than
TMI.
Well, right, but I'm telling you,
TMI.
it makes me a little sick. Like it makes me not right, and I know the
How
difference. So
about,
I don't
like,
eat those crab cakes.
How about like one of those like bars where we all sit around and there's like a window and the guy's like making your crab cake, like what the one, like there's like 5 different crab
She
cakes.
does that
That's
right
what
here.
she does. That's
Right.
what we do right
Every
here. You
Sunday.
get
I'm
to
talking
see
about-
it made.
Right, but at that place we need to sell like $12 beer, right? And they sit at the bar and they get to watch, printing it. Because everything's got to be an
Experiential.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which
it's gotta
is
be an
which is
experience.
actually what we're doing in the new market. We are having a crab. You know how they have the window to making the fudge?
Yep.
We will
Yes,
have the
that's what
window
I'm
where you're
thinking.
making the
Yeah,
crab
yeah,
cakes.
okay.
That's
so
that
that
Hill
will
and Cisco
be
got
That's it.
started.
Yeah.
right?
because that's what we do here. That's one of the things
That's how
that
the
people
phone song
like
happened.
when they come in.
It is.
they watch us making them. They watch them go into the fryer, go onto their tray. Nothing is behind a wall. You watch it all happen. And
Yeah.
you could say, "Oh, can I get extra this or that on there?" And they do it for you.
Would you give me extra tomatoes if I wanted them?
Absolutely.
God,
I know
they're
she
good.
loves the tomato
They
salad.
are really good.
But you get to watch all day long that he'll be making crab cakes here.
Yeah.
And we're going to repeat that in the new Lexington market. We're going to have an area where you're going to watch the whole
I
show.
just saw the sign for deviled eggs.
Oh, yeah, we got deviled eggs.
So
We'll
where,
get you some deviled eggs.
So where are you at on deviled eggs? Like
They're all
You
different
right
too,
there,
right?
right there. We
I
just
mean,
stick
that's
them on your
deviled eggs.
plate.
but like that's like core meal, right?
Paprika on the top?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So,
Right.
I don't
Okay.
like deviled eggs, but that's okay. You got
Really?
mine. You can have mine.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
Ramel, can you bring me a couple deviled
No,
eggs?
We're going to take a break. I'm going to take a
Okay.
break. I got to get rid of you. It's 10 o'clock. You got to go do
I
roofs.
do, I do.
Tell everybody what you do. Tell Damye what you do on the airplane ride. Like she does this sexy crab cake thing
I
and
know.
150
It's kind of
years
depressing, isn't
right?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do roofs.
Right. I
It's
do.
a dirty job
I do
here,
the thing
Phil.
that no one wants to really talk about or have to deal with. Right?
Until you get a flood over the
But
weekend.
even
like I
then,
did.
it's like a super crisis, and it's
Saturday
it's
afternoon,
pretty
I'm texting Billy,
emotionally
and I'm
terrible.
like, this
Yes.
is a mess.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
wife was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. A leaking roof is no fun.
It's a good thing my wife can work a shovel. That's
I have
all I'm
about
saying.
20 buckets at 720.
But this
under
engineering
our
thing
leaks.
doesn't work out for my wife. I'm going to send her over to you.
Yeah.
She's
There's
ready
so
to work.
much. There's
Uh-oh,
so much to
deviled
talk
eggs.
about there.
Here for the show.
Oh, yeah,
See, I
sure
wouldn't eat
that.
that. I mean,
Really?
yeah, it's just not my thing. But
No.
Do you not
No,
like
it's not-
eggs in general?
I was tortured by this stuff as a kid from my
Okay.
mother.
No, I mean,
macaroni
look,
salad,
look.
I don't eat it. Potato salad, I don't eat it.
So deviled eggs at a cookout.
Yeah, I know. I didn't like
They're
cookouts.
They're the first things to go.
Right. Right.
Like you can't make
Right.
enough. I made so many deviled eggs like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they were gone.
Maybe it's because they
And
were
I
called
had planned.
deviled eggs.
I
didn't
planned
eat
I was going to have them all week. Like that's how many I made. But because you grab them and you can pop them in,
and they're
every
so
time you walk
labor
by.
intensive.
Yes.
That my father said, "Stop doing the deviled eggs," and my
Yes.
mother said, "Are you kidding me? We're
Right.
going to keep doing the deviled eggs."
But this is another item that when you go to a really expensive restaurant,
This is a bougie
they,
item.
yes,
This
yes,
is a bougie item.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's that. What do we talk about with the crab cake?
Right.
Like these humble beginnings, this like root of all goodness. Like deviled eggs are made with love, right?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
why people like them.
and this and
they
all
can
of our
tell.
homemade salads. Our homemade salads are wonderful.
Shrimp salad, sign me up.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to break.
Pickled
I'm going to let you. You got to
cucumbers.
go
All
to
right,
the roofs. Tell
all
me
right.
what you do.
Yeah, yeah.
100
Commercial roofing,
solar.
solar, commercial solar. Yeah, I
remind
mean
you.
we've just.
Oh, good.
You
You
know.
and I are
I
going to
read
talk
the
about
ads.
solar.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
Super.
good, or you want me to tell you more? I mean, we do repairs, we do schools, we do shopping centers,
Radio
we
stations.
do radio stations, we do restaurants, whatever. We do
We do
like
things.
we're just problem solvers.
He's on the front of
Good.
Baltimore Positive. She is on Baltimore Positive every single day. Our friends at Window Nation have sent us out on the road to eat deviled eggs and crab cakes, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to be all over the state later on in the summer with 25 oysters in 25 days, all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery as well. Marty Gary is here. He is the fish man around here. I'm going to honor him by having some shrimp salad here, some jumbo Texas shrimp here. We're going to talk about Maryland oysters and Maryland fish and the catfish that are angering her and pickeries on the Eastern Shore. And me and Dan Rodricks and waiters out on the North Potomac River outside of Williamsport, Maryland, near Luke, Maryland. We'll do that. Bill Cole's out. Damie's going to hang around. Marty's here. We're at Fadley's celebrating summertime, 25 years at WNST. We are AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore.